welcome back. I'm going to say it right now. What an amazing world or universe we live in at the moment. I can remember a few years ago when we spoke about going to Mars, it was like a pipe dream, what could be scenario. Now it is a reality. Building bases on the moon, it is a reality. Tourists going to space,
that is exactly
a reality.
It's crazy.
Wow.
That is exactly what we're focusing on today. It's all about space in our tech news today. Now, NASA actually wants to privatize space as quickly as possible, which is crazy. Now, in line with the missions of the likes of SpaceX, Virgin Galactic and Blue Origin, they're already using these private companies to launch some satellites and send instruments and supplies to the International Space Station, which we know is at ISS.
Yeah.
Now they want to add a module to the ISS where tourists can actually visit and experience the majesty of space. What, like,
hey, just go there. I wonder if it'll have a bed where you can just go chill, lie there and just watch space. Oh, that's awesome.
It's going to be absolutely insane. Now, they actually reached an important milestone to achieve this goal. They picked Axiom Space to supply its first commercial destination module for the ISS, and NASA plans to connect this module to the ISS Note 2 forward port. Now, according to NASA officials, it will usher in a low Earth orbit economy on the ISS themselves being a customer. So, getting this funding for it, I kind of see...
The thing is, with all of the private injection of funding, it means we can do more. They can do more research. They can add more kind of impetus to what they're already doing. I love it. It's just speeding things up. Awesome.
Okay. However, Axiom Space hasn't announced when the first module will be ready, but they are aiming to offer trips to the ISS as soon as 2021. So actually next year we might see this. And then, of course, privatize ISS by 2024.
You know, in sci-fi movies, you kind of see, these massive space stations where every country has a representation. That's what it's... You're going to have a United Nations of space. It's going to have to happen. Really cool.
I don't know how I feel about it. So yes, I want to be like, yay, people's going to space. But whenever we give people opportunity to go to these things, what is the...
You're picturing tourists going to the beach and ruining it, you know?
Yes, that's my thing.
I would assume, like, in the same way, because tourists have gone to space before, but it involves a rigorous training program. So I'm sure they've kind of thought of this from many angles, but there are so many multimillionaires, billionaires wanting to pump funding into this space. I mean, what an opportunity. You can imagine orbiting the Earth and seeing that. That is special.
Think about the Instagram pictures that will be taken up there.
You know what I'm saying? How much of a wide-angle lens will you need? So let's continue on this trend now. While SpaceX and NASA, they've obviously got ambitions of going to Mars, and that's becoming very much a reality, and it's an inhospitable environment. Some believe we should focus on starting a colony on a closer hospitable environment first, namely the moon. The European Space Agency, they've created a power plant that can sustain human life on the moon, creating rocket fuel and breathable air. And of course, the use of the moon as a launching pad to send spaceships out into deep space to Mars, where we don't have the gravity of Earth, and that's why the most fuel gets used getting things off Earth. Okay. So if you can launch from the moon, that is amazing. So according to the ESA, this new plant converts moondust, currently recreated moondust, obviously, into oxygen that could be used for air and fuel. The new technique unlocks the oxygen in regolith. That's the layer of the unconsolidated solid material that sits on the bedrock of the planet, or the moon in this case, using molten salt electrolysis that superheats the dust and then migrates the oxygen along the salt until it's collected in a specifically built anode. Migrates the oxygen. Love that. It could be required to ascertain the viability of Mars mission, where obviously the explorers are going to be without any help from Earth at all. Some other byproducts that are being created through the process might also be useful. But when we get to a situation like Mars, they're going to have to almost use everything that they create. And they're going to get absolutely no supplies or resupplies of anything. So if they can create oxygen, if they can create fuel, that's a massive thing. Because remember, everyone's talking about Mars and not being able to come back because they don't have the fuel to do it. But if they can create their own fuel once they're there, boom.
Who would have ever thought in 2020 we were speaking about going to space and then just...
Well, just think about Luca, think about Jack, being able to come to us at some point and saying, look, I'm thinking of going off planet. You know, I want to study asteroid mining. Absolutely insane stuff. And this is the world we live in now. That's our Tech Daily Update.